Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in. First thing I want to do is thank you all very much. So, the season premiere, the 2024 premiere of the Back of the Pack podcast set a new record for downloads and listens and views in the course of a week. And so that was super great. So, then what did we do last week on the second episode? We do even better. So, thank you all so much for showing the podcast a little love, giving us a listen, liking us on Facebook, liking us on Instagram, subscribing, doing all the things. It's been great. We've been growing just a little bit every week, and so I love it. One thing I want to ask you guys to do, continue to subscribe to the YouTube channel, very important. And then also, there's a feature on Facebook where you can leave reviews and like give little stars. If you feel so inclined to leave a review and give us a little star rating, I think 5 is the best. It goes a long way. It goes a long way towards getting us recognized and getting us out to more people in the social media realm. So if you guys would be so inclined to do so, we'd greatly appreciate it. A couple things, and then we're going to get to our interview for this week because we have an interview coming up, and you definitely want to stay for it. You want to listen to it because there is something you can do to try and win yourself a free half marathon. I'm not going to say what that is because you're going to have to listen in and find out, but it's in here, so don't miss your opportunity to get a race and some swag. Just saying. Just saying. But a couple things before we jump in. We are supposed to be at Battle of the Bean this past weekend. If you are in the Kansas City area, hopefully you by now saw that the race was postponed due to the frigid temperatures and the ice. And so it is now on January 27th. So January 27th, we will be at the Battle of the Bean 5K. January 28th, I will be at both of the groundhog runs, the 5K and 10K. So I really hope to see you guys all up in the caves in Kansas City, Missouri for the groundhog run. We're jumping in now full bore. Our first race weekend of the year. There's no hiding now. Now it's a 5K, 5K, 10K. And since we have been in the deep freeze now for several weeks, that's going to be a rough weekend. But hopefully this weekend, as soon as this ice that came in last night that no one was expecting, as soon as that melts, we should be able to get up, get out, get running, and get a move on. Secondly, last week when I did the 2024 preview, I messed something up. And so I want to fix it because I don't want to give out bad information. In October, there is a weekend where you can run the Garmin Kansas City Marathon or half marathon, and then go up to the IMT Des Moines Marathon or half marathon. I called it the I-70 challenge. Well, apparently I don't know my highway system very well because that's not it. It's the I-35 challenge. So I apologize, gave out the wrong information. If you were going to do a half on Saturday in Kansas City and a half on Sunday in Des Moines, that's the I-35 challenge. If you're going to do a full marathon in Kansas City on Saturday and then do a full marathon in Des Moines on Sunday, that's the I-35 challenge. So again, I-35 challenge. That's what we're going to try and tackle come October. I want to make sure you have the right information should you decide to jump into that particular challenge. So with that, we're going to bring it into this little intro and we're going to take you to our interview. This is Marc from the Top City Half Marathon being run on April 27th. We recorded a few days ago. And again, I had a great time talking to Marc, have a great time learning more about Top City. Again, if you have not heard, I'm sure you've heard by now if you've listened to this show enough. We really enjoyed that race. Very much looking forward to going back in April. So without further ado, let me bring you this interview. All right, everyone, let's welcome in from the Top City Half Marathon. This is Marc, race director. Marc, welcome to the Back of the Pack podcast.
Oh, welcome, Kyle. Good to meet you.
And you as well. So we have just started talking here, and I figured we might as well hit the record button because we're already talking running and good stuff. Thought you all might want to hear that. But coming up on what, April 27th
April
is the
27th, yes.
Top City Half Marathon in Topeka, Kansas. You guys have heard me talk about that one several times because of how much I enjoyed the race. So we wanted to actually talk to the race itself and get more information so we can get more people to the start line in Topeka. So Marc, if you would be so kind, just give us a little history of the Top City Half Marathon, kind of when it started, how it came about, anything you want to tell us.
Yeah, so back in 2019, it actually goes back to my wife having sinus surgery, and I was bugging her, and she wanted me out of the house. And she had found on Facebook a little running group that was run by a owner of a bakery that was nearby my house. So that day, I jumped out of my house and went up and met Joe Vodder, who owned a bakery that was here in town for a while. And we started running together. And through our runs, as you know, you talk about ideas and great ideas when you run.
Absolutely.
And came up with the idea of wanting to have a race through Topeka, showing off the neighborhoods. You go up to Kansas City. I've gone to Des Moines, went through some races in Louisville, and you always get great neighborhood support, and it
Mhm.
makes you want to go back to those areas. And I wanted to have that for Topeka. So in 2019, Joe and I created a board and started to come up with an idea for Top City Half Marathon. And we were scheduled to have our first year in 2020. It was April, I think it was 25th of 2020. And about end of March, world got a little interesting. I work for the local county and was sitting through all of our meetings with what was going on, and recognized really quickly that the idea of an in-person race was not going to happen. And at that point, we had over 300 registrants, maybe even like closer to 400, and had to do a really heartbreaking decision to what to do with the race. So we really quickly turned it into a virtual race, offered deferments, but had just great involvement. We went around and did door deliveries for people in Topeka. Had one of the participants from Lawrence reach out, ask if they could do the door deliveries for me in Lawrence. So through that, I met Susan King, which, this running community is really great because you do meet new people all the time. So we did those door deliveries, and then got through that and went into, okay, how do we do 21? And you know, quickly started working on 21. So through the years, this will be our 5th year of doing the race. We've had good numbers all throughout, been growing dramatically, or not dramatically, but great over the years. Last year was the year you ran. That
Mhm.
was what I kind of considered our real first normal race. It was,
Right.
back to, participation coming back, because even following, still we're getting questions. Will it be virtual? What can be done? Will it happen? Will it not happen? Um, the kind of other part of it was in 2020, the plaza you so much enjoyed. That was the year that opened. Topeka
Oh,
had just built that, and
okay.
working downtown near that, I kept seeing that as that's the perfect place for the post race party.
Absolutely.
And that was one of those locations that kind of was no matter what, we're going to finish at that plaza.
Mhm.
So that
No,
was
it worked out great.
a great location. Um, they didn't do it last year, but the year before it was warmer. They actually have fountains they'll turn on.
Oh, okay.
So at the 2022 race, you had kids and people after the race walking through the fountains and enjoying the cool weather, cooling down.
Yeah.
So it offers a lot because you got to enjoy the fireplace, not the fountain.
I definitely enjoyed that fireplace because it was a pretty chilly morning last year when we went down there for that race. Um, so so last year, yeah, like you said, that was the first year I did it. And again, I really enjoyed the fireplace and I really enjoyed the course. For anyone who is coming down this year, what's a little different? What's something maybe you've done different for 2023? Anything at all, or you sticking with what works?
We try to stick with what works.
Yeah.
One thing is we're kind of the two big things we kind of become known for. Number one is our shirts. So we've got a new design that will be coming out here in a probably about a month or two. Also, something I've always liked is the medals. I want our medals to be unique, and for our 5th year, I want to definitely have it, stand out. Now,
So see, if you're watching the YouTube channel right now, you see I'm holding up last year's medal, and you can see it's a nice medal. It's even got this little stained glass kind of in the background here for the top city part. So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, there you go. And I'm wearing the shirt. It's almost like we'd planned to do this interview right now. It's weird how that worked out.
and I will admittedly say when I come up with the metal ideas, I am not original. That one actually harkens back to a Kansas City marathon medal, half marathon medal from probably about 3 or 4 years ago. The second year kind of is reminiscent of a rock the or third year was kind of reminiscent of a rock the Parkway.
Yeah.
This year's is very reminiscent of the Kentucky Derby half when I did it a couple years ago. It was one of those when I was like, man, that is a neat medal. And
Okay.
I've always liked it. It's one of my favorite medals. So I'm not original, but I hopefully people like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, were you going to be able to maybe give anyone a little sneak preview of said medal?
yeah, so
Little medal
we can.
reveal? Is it medal reveal time?
Well,
Oh,
we definitely can't. Well, here I'll start with the 5K. So
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
um, the 5K we've always kind of done the best we can, and this year through sponsorship, we've had Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas step up to be the presenting sponsor of our 5K. And with that, it's actually allowed us to step up our 5K and step up our medals altogether. So
Nice.
for the 5K medals, it's actually our first year of an actual medal.
Oh, look at that.
If you're unaware, that's throwback to the first year. This is actually what the first year medal looked like for the half, but we've done it for the 5K this year, and that's also what the Topeka flag is.
Okay. No,
So,
that looks great. Got the
and
ribbon. All right.
and then for the half, there was a great debate on how big we wanted to go. Some of our board members wanted to go bigger, had to tone them down a bit,
Right,
but
right. There is a
for the
cost in that.
yeah, there's a cost. So went with green,
Like the green and
and
yellow. Whoa, you
and
guys
it
have
is.
you've stepped up big time.
I think
Look
it's a
at that.
4 inch if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good looking medal right there.
And
I
the
like
I don't
it's
know if
got
you
the
could.
Capitol building on it and everything.
Yeah, it's got the capital. If you look, the course is actually highlighted in
In
yellow.
yellow. Oh, that's great. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I like that. I'm ready. I'm ready for that one. So what so you said that was based off the Kentucky Derby race. What aspects did you take from that Kentucky race?
So theirs was a square medal with the course you ran highlighted.
Okay.
So I mean, obviously it's city of Topeka now, not Louisville, Kentucky,
Yeah, that
but
wouldn't make much sense, would it?
no. But it was one of those. It's one of those. I'm like, that is an original medal from any I'd ever seen. One thing we've tried to always do since our first year is we highlight the Capitol
Mhm.
in our medals. The second year was a Capitol dome that was a bottle opener.
Nice.
Third year was circular. That was the Capitol dome again. It was fairly thick. I think it was a bronze color. Then last year's that has the Capitol in the skyline, and
Hmm.
again we've brought the Capitol into it.
No, I mean it makes all the sense in the world to incorporate the Capitol somehow each year. Speaking of which, are we going to be running through the Capitol again? Because that was a really awesome feature I thought last year that we basically are running right through the Capitol. If only we could go through the lobby, but we just kind of go right through their property and around.
Yeah, we talked to him about going through the lobby, but we decided the time going through the metal detectors would slow people down.
Ah,
But we will be going through the Capitol again. It's another kind of aspect of the race I've always wanted to keep.
mhm,
The first 3 years first year there wasn't a real race, but the course actually was starting over by the Capitol the first 3 years. Um, just for logistics, it became easier to do this start and finish at the same time. But I've always wanted to keep the Capitol. We are the capital city.
right.
I was born here, lived in Topeka my whole life, and so that's an aspect I think we bring to any race in Kansas and that's unique. No one else can have a run through the Capitol, around the Capitol, near the Capitol in Topeka or in Kansas. So
Yeah.
I think it's important. It's been part of my life for the 47 years I've lived here and always enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it really is a fun kind of start and finish. It was funny because as I was coming to the finish last year, there were people stopping dead in the course. When you make that left turn and you're staring right at the Capitol, like it is right there in front of you, there were a lot of people stopping, taking pictures, taking selfies with the Capitol in the background. They didn't care about their time. They wanted a good picture because it was really neat when you make that left turn and boom, there it is. So I'm glad all that is staying, in the race and on the course. So what kind of feedback did you get last year? I imagine you're getting primarily pretty positive feedback. What would you say people enjoy the most about that race?
You know, definitely there's a lot of people who enjoy it just for being you know, another race that's, nice and local. A
Mhm.
lot of the Topeka runners really like it. Not that we don't mind coming to Kansas City, but kind of your um reminiscing of what the day was going to be like for you,
Mhm.
kind of is what every Topeka runner gets when you go to
Right.
to a Kansas City race and Kansas City. One day I hope to have a race near as good as what you guys put on up there. But it's nice to have those local races. Really have gotten a lot of comments on the Capitol.
Mhm.
Something, the beer after the race. Again, Iron Rail has signed on to provide us beer for the race. Last year, I don't know if many people realize that they made a special brew specifically for the race. They will do that again
Oh, okay.
this year. Um, we offer sandwiches after the race,
Yep.
and so again, we'll have Dickie's Barbecue, who will be at the post race. Still working on what we can do to make the post race bigger and better.
Sure.
But that's what I know we have for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, food and beer, I'd say you're off to a pretty good start on building up that post-race party.
Yes.
And say you think you had a DJ there last year too. Wasn't there some music playing?
There was music playing. It's not a DJ. The other thing we got a lot of feedback on, and we are correcting this year, is we're going to have a race photographer. Um,
Oh,
we will get one. I think we're planning on having one on the course and definitely start and finish.
okay.
Uh, just it's one I know when we finished up last year, I knew something we didn't have, and I knew we had to get there, and we listened to everyone who wanted that and are bringing that back, or not bringing it back. We're bringing that to the race this year.
Right. Yeah, nah, people like their photos. I mean, what can we say? We're all, just beautiful, beautiful people. So we want to show it off, especially when we come across that finish line. So what's your logic? And I'm only giving you grief here. But why in the world do you have us finishing up a hill? You know that's
Um,
that's
I'm,
that's cold, man. That's cold.
Well, we the old course, which we had to change courses a little because the I-70 viaduct, we actually ran under it twice, and about a month before the race, a piece fell off of it, and
Ah,
trying to prevent anyone from being squashed and the amount of construction that's going on related to that, we went with the out and back course, which has been people have questioned why, and that
mm,
that is why there is major construction going on, and to try to get to a course that we could keep consistent year after year is why we went to this out and back course. And so we had an uphill there. I really don't like people, so I'd like to make them suffer. So I put the uphill. No, in trying to get away from the plaza and find her out, it happened. It was not
right.
intentional. Um, I have a tradition of actually doing better on uphill races or races with a lot of hills.
Yeah.
Um, so hills never bother me, and I know that's a very unique thing. I don't mind the suffering, but some people definitely hate me for it.
Yeah, and if it weren't the last tenth of the race, that is the uphill part, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But that's a really good point you brought up, though. You said that it's an out and back course. I can tell you straight up and down, that does not feel like an out and back. Like there are certainly races I've run to the end, I've gone around the cone and I come back. Really does not feel like an out and back. I actually wouldn't have thought it was that until you just said it. Maybe I'm just not paying attention, or does it go a block or two off of the route or
So
the first six?
the start and finish is really the out and back, and I think it's to mile about four is where it's repeated. Actually,
Mhm.
it's not even four; it's maybe three and a half. And so then you go out and you leave and you go by the RV local VA is the road you come off the trails on,
Okay.
and then you go into three historic neighborhoods: Westwood, Westboro, and then into Collins Park.
Okay.
And actually, when you're running through Collins Park, you are about 2 blocks from my house,
Okay.
and it is the neighborhood I came home from the hospital in. I grew up in. I went to grade school. You're a block from my grade school. But it's also the neighborhood I still live in to this day.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
so, and it's the very picturesque neighborhoods.
It is.
You know, we're starting to get great community support from it. They're enjoying us going through their neighborhoods. And from there is where you kind of then head back to the trail, and you get on the trail in a slight different place, which might kind of make you not feel like you're doing a true out and back. But there's like I say, I think about 3 miles of the first and ending that is the same.
Okay. Well, I mean, everyone, if you're listening, take note of that. I know some people get really uptight, like, oh, an out and back, how boring. This does not run like an out and back. It really doesn't. So I would not have guessed it until you had just said it.
Yeah.
So
So if you look real close here at the medal,
mhm.
so right there, what some people have called the little dog head or dog
I
is
can see it.
the
Yeah.
is where you loop.
Okay. So that's the loop part and then back. All right. See, look, learn something new every day. Let's see here. What else can we cover about this race? Registration for this year. Yeah, let people know how they can get all registered and what they're kind of looking at right now.
So right now, probably bad timing because I think this is coming out on Monday. We have a price increase on the 21st. This
Yeah,
comes out
we're
on the
gonna just miss
22nd.
that. Whoops.
Um, but watch out because we will be having some possibly discounts around Valentine's Day.
Okay.
But probably the easiest way is to go to topcity.run. It's topcity.run. We've got links there to our registration page. We do have the half marathon and 5K. Um, If you're in Topeka, Feet Fleet is running a training program. They started this last weekend, which starting was a informational meeting because they didn't think everyone getting injured on the ice was probably a good idea. But
Right.
they're running that out of Topeka. Um, so you've got, I think you're right at about 12 weeks, or you probably more than 12 weeks to the race. But that would probably be the best and quickest way. Also, we ran a specialist last weekend with the Chiefs winning. Hopefully, we can maybe repeat that this weekend.
Here's
I would
hoping.
hope we can repeat it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let's see. Do you track? This is just out of curiosity. Do you track how many different states come to the race?
I do. Out of my own. Well, and I will say we are actually an international race for the last 3 years.
Oh,
We have
okay.
had international runners.
Do you know where from?
We've had Spain and then Germany now 2 years in a row from Germany.
That's
Obviously, we're the
awesome.
biggest, you know, race in Germany. I can't think of any other big races there, so we've got to be the big one for people from Germany to come to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they've got nothing going on over there.
But
Boring.
but then we have 15 states.
15
Currently
states.
we have 15 states.
Okay, so I'm sure everything surrounding the Kansas area is
Uh,
pretty well covered.
no, Oklahoma has always been traditionally slow to sign up. We do not have anyone from Oklahoma yet, so
Oklahoma, what are you guys doing? Stop it. Jeez.
obviously Missouri's good and strong.
Yep.
We've got a New York person, some Illinois, Indiana. Those ones, no, obviously Colorado, Nebraska, Iowa,
Yeah.
might have California.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, take them where you can get them. Did you? I don't know if you listened or not. So when I talked about this race last year, I actually met at the start line a guy who claimed, and according to his Facebook, it's true, he was a professional boxer who had come down to run his very first half marathon.
John Cantrell.
Yes, that's him. Do you know him at all or well?
Yeah, know him through friends. Actually, one of our board members, TJ Lorson, who's been a great supporter and sponsor at Heartland Title. He's been a sponsor of our race from day one. They're friends, and so I know John through TJ, and he's definitely he's getting very active in the boxing. I
Mhm.
don't follow boxing, but I know he has a lot of matches. I think is what they're called. So yes, that's John Cantrell you met.
Okay, yeah, no, that's it. Now that you said his name, it rang a bell. Nicest guy. I know he could remove my head from my shoulders, but he was such a nice guy talking to him before the race. But
Well, and I think that's something from your podcast. I think that's the thing. You meet all these people at races that you might only know for the 2 or 3 hours you run, but you become good friends with people, and it's
yeah,
really amazing, especially as you keep going to races in similar areas and you meet additional people. Like I say, you really do become friends with people that
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
you only know for running, and it's an amazing community even outside of the running groups locally.
Yeah, sure. And how is the Topeka running scene? I mean, I imagine you guys are pretty strong down there. A lot of good runners. You have your own fleet feet, so
Yeah, we have our own
pretty
feet
good.
fleet. Got some really good runners. 2 years ago, the guy who actually won our race, he's a local runner here, actually the assistant principal at my kid's high school. He did that race a week, well, not even a full week, but he had run Boston that Monday
Hmm.
and took third in his age group, and then
Oh,
came and won the half marathon.
well, I will be doing a full marathon the weekend before your race, but I can guarantee you I will not be winning your race or even be in the conversation of winning your race the following weekend. So, wow, good on that guy. That's some elite level talent right there.
Yeah, he also think the spring or the fall before he set the age group 100-mile record for Kansas. So he did that at Prairie Spirit, and that was Rob Hayes is a very good runner, very kind guy. And there's tons of runners like that. There's a real strong trail community here.
Hmm.
Beat Fleet here has a very strong running group. They meet every Thursday, not right now, but they're meeting Thursdays and do runs. So it
Yeah.
is a good environment.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, look, I mean, if you can believe it, like we're already getting close to the time where my recording system will wrap us up. Is there anything else you want to throw out to anyone? Kind of a
Um,
final word on Top City here.
final word. And I probably should talk about how to figure this out, but I want to give away a entry to one of your listeners, and then Also, with that entry, we've got a Top City hat
Heck
and
yeah.
actually Top City branded gooders that we'll throw in there.
Nice.
Um, don't know what the best way to do that though would be.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. So this episode is going to get released on Monday. Let's go through a week. And if you like this episode, comment on this episode and share this episode, you're in the drawing to win a free entry into Top City, the hat, and the sunglasses. But you got to do all three things, and I am going to keep track. But hey, it gets you a half marathon, so I don't know who would want to like not start liking, commenting, and sharing. So I think that would be perfect, and that's awesome of you to do. And want to thank you on behalf of the listeners of the podcast who are now thinking, "Ooh, I can get a half marathon," because that's always fun. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait for Top City. Again, I'm ready to go. And it's going to be late April, so it's probably going to be beautiful. It might start a little chilly, but it's still going to be beautiful.
Yeah, we've had a couple warm ones, and sometimes it's cool. So we've been lucky, knock on wood, no bad weather. I
Right?
know it's always an option. Always keep an eye out, but definitely have, if it's hot, we'll have water, and if it's really hot, we'll have the beer at the end.
Hey, it can be hot, cold, or indifferent. I still want that beer at the end. I'm coming for it.
Great.
All right. Well, I want to thank Mark. Thank you, Top City. Whoa, look out. Sorry about the abrupt ending to that interview. We were kind of up against it there with the old Zoom session. So my apologies that we had to cut it pretty short. But again, a huge thank you to Mark for coming on from Top City Half Marathon. Good to talk to him. Can't wait for the race. And so that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe, tell your friends, send smoke signals, tell strangers on the street, whatever you got to do, because we want to get the word out about this podcast. We're doing great, but we could always do better. So your help is how we get there. If you were a pre-order for the t-shirts, they're on the way. I saw the proof. They're coming. So we're going to have those soon. And other than that, we're about to jump headfirst into running season. So everyone be very careful out there. Thankfully, stuff's melting. Let's be done with it. I'm already tired of winter and it's not even February yet. But we've got a lot of races coming up and we want everyone to be happy, healthy, and ready to go. So that'll do it for this week's episode. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. My pleasure. As always, we'll be back next week with a wrap up of 3 races. So be ready for that. Have a great week of training. We'll see you next week.